Okay.
We are back to the warehouse for a brand new sport and a brand new guest. Let's talk Slapball. Welcome to the Blitzball Boys, the podcast about Blitzball and boys, but lately about Slapball. I'm your co-host, Brendan Ruppel, along with my fellow host, Peter Del Rey.
Hey, Brendan. We're talking to some friends today. This is a last-minute get. We were supposed to have Lord on the show today, but she canceled. She got other things to do.
Really? I didn't know that. You didn't let me know.
I know.
I was just talking about Lord
I wanted
today.
to surprise you, but we got someone who's just a little bit better. Another member of the Triple Handsome Club. The man named after the warehouse himself. His parents really loved the place. Warehouse Rob is here.
Hello.
How's it going, guys?
It's great. Great to have you.
Really great.
It was a
My
very
friend-
exciting get.
Very exciting get. I don't know if you know this, Rob. Me and Brendan have talked about trying to figure out how to get you on the show for quite a while now. Pretty much since Blitzball Battle 3.
Yeah, I think we talked about doing like
Okay.
let's have Warehouse Rob like walk us through warehouse secrets like for an episode, which could be kind of this episode a little bit too. I don't know how many secrets there are, how many people you have locked up in that place, but we'll dive in as we go.
I'm not legally allowed to say.
That's what I was worried about.
Guess possible.
that's our episode. All right.
Every single question is, you know what? I'm going to plead the fifth here. Sorry, guys. But we had this idea for the Captain's League to do the big recaps. Nate was going to be our guest for Ball and Play because Nate is the cricket guy. We could get really anybody from Blitzball Battle who was not in, the Captain's League to do our Blitzball Battle 4. And we're like, who could we get for Slapball? And Jimmy brought up the fact that I think this was, little known amongst the viewership community when we talked to Jimmy, that you are like co-commissioner kind of, where you have to also sign off on trades, where Jimmy said Rob is in that position because Rob knows the warehouse better than anybody else and he knows how people play. So he said, fuck it, we're getting them.
You got me.
Got him.
I mean, so
here,
before we dive too deep in, can you just like give us a little bit of a description of what it is you do at Jumping Media for the people that might not be aware?
So I'm a video editor, specializing in the warehouse. I think I probably spend 90% or more of my day and time editing warehouse, the long form. Been here for almost 2 years. I'm also the lead editor for the Captain's League, which is what we're talking about tonight, the Slapball tournament.
Hell yeah.
That's most of what I do. I also edit the morning meeting. If you ever watch that, that's a fun behind the scenes show. That's probably 98 to 99% of what I do. Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So do you have any input on like, especially for Captain's League, since you're lead editor, do you have input on rules or like how the games go, or what was your input to Slapball?
The input from me beforehand was more about camera angles and making sure we had all the coverage we wanted. I think Jimmy and Jack Doyle developed most of the rules, along with our other creators and players as well, because you can't just do it one-on-one to develop a game like that. And that was really mostly on their side. They just told me the rules. I didn't really have any input on that side of things.
Sure.
But I do think we had pretty good camera coverage, with a couple of exceptions that if we were going to throw a whole lot of resources, we could have maybe added a couple more to like really sweeten things. But I think we did pretty well for the first time.
So does this sort of thing like excite you because like, oh, it's a brand new sport, I got to figure out a whole new setup to capture a new game?
A little bit. I think being set up in that space, and it's similar to floorball and how like the rink is set up and all that. So kind of using that as a base and then adapting it to, the goals aren't off the walls, the goals are on the walls, so we have to change some angles there. So just some minor differences like that we start figuring out, but it wasn't that difficult of a process, I don't think.
All right. So were you like, I feel like a lot of us were, especially growing up in New York. I can't speak for the rest of the country, but were you like a big handball guy in high school? Like, did your high school do a bunch of team handball stuff? And then, like, when Jimmy says, let's do a handball variant, were you like, let's fucking go?
I think I played a few times in gym class, but never really beyond that. Understood the very basic rules of the sport as soon as it was explained. I think early on we were calling it handball because we didn't really, I don't know if the slap was really part of the game yet at that point in development. So we had it. I think we called it warehouse handball for a while, and then eventually we settled on slapball.
All right, cool. Okay. So that's enough background.
That's enough.
We're gonna go into the games.
Peter, if I end up talking like that joke voice you're doing at some point this episode, it's because I'm getting over a sickness, and it's not a joke.
It's not a joke. I'm not making a joke. You ever seen Tyrese Halliburton?
No, I'm just saying like that. That's how I'm going to end up speaking.
That's what happens to me. Tyrese Halliburton has two voices, Brendan. You need to watch an interview after we do this because it is incredible. He switches between voices mid-interview, and it's like he's like, "I'm not joking. This is just how it works." I think it has something to do with acid reflux. Oh. But we see this brand new sport yet again for first time since Ball and Play 1, like the Tester League, where we see truly a brand new sport. But you could say, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is even more so because Ball and Play took a lot from cricket, and really the only differences was like automatic 4s and 6s and like some very minor rules, whereas this is a sport that was built from the ground up. You saw that with the players getting confused on the rules sometimes, justifiably so. But I think by the end of the tournament, almost everybody had a really strong grasp on the rules, and those last 2, 3, 4 games were absolutely incredible to watch as a viewer.
Oh, yeah.
Really except for Jimmy with his warehouse brain.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. The guy who makes the rules with like how many line violations in the last couple games. Tough stuff. The O'Briens themselves, like a tough duo for line violations.
Yeah, but I mean, we could talk about a lot of things here. One thing I want to do, because I don't trust myself to remember to do this later in the show.
You're not gonna.
There was one person in particular, two people, really, two people in particular. You know what? There's about 16 people. There was two people in particular who seemed to have a very, very strong grasp of the slapping elements of the game and the 1v1 slaps, like to bounce it to yourself and hit it.
Yeah.
And that's Jake and that's Jolly. Those two, it seemed that Jolly figured it out before Jake did. Jolly figured it out maybe game 1. To the point where you saw Jolly down low only being guarded by one person was a problem. Jake figured it out a couple games later, but this tournament, and you guys could jump in if you think I'm out of line or if I'm not speaking
let me just stop
the
you right
truth
there.
here. All right, cool. Go ahead, Brendan. This tournament went from my view, everybody trying to slap, and then there was a definitive moment about midway through the regular season where everybody's like, oh, throwing is way better, higher chance of getting a goal. Let's just throw from here on out. And you only really saw post-up slaps where it would be thrown across and somebody would slap it in, or you saw Jolly, Jake, and to a degree, Lou running in and trying to make a goal by themselves by slapping to themselves.
Yeah. And I think ultimately we found that a balance of those things works like in any sport. If you have 2 ways to score, you want to mix them all in. I mean, we see breakdowns in the last game kind of just go with a throw only, and you see how that works out for them. But to rewind quickly to Jolly, where we started here, I feel like his self-slap works really well because when you see other people try and do it and emulate it, they drop it with their non-slapping hand first, and I feel like seeing someone set up like that gives them time to get in front of it. But Jolly almost always does like the same hand backhand slap, which I think deceives a lot of people trying to block it.
Yeah, and I think it was a good move for Jolly. I think he just ran into an issue. But personally, I think Jolly and Jack Doyle probably had to make one trade at the end of that draft to try to balance out their teams, and they didn't. Right. So as good as Jolly's slapping was, and even Lou had some good slaps, they really couldn't open up the floor that much. I think that's why they struggled a bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really clogged up there.
I feel like it was a bit of if we were to run it back, do a whole nother tournament, another 5 games per team, I think they'd do a lot better because it felt like in that final game, it really felt like they found their own, they fully embraced the silliness. Rob started doing a lot more of his slaps, which I thought, Rob surprised me in this one for somebody who's so athletic and so agile. I thought that he was going to be more like what Jolly was
Right.
going into this tournament. Zoe had the very cool between the legs slap at one point. But if you rebrand this team, Goodfellas, into fully committing to the slap, fully committing to the agility and deception and fake slaps and all this, I think that they could have been in the championship, but they figured it out just a little bit too late.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas you look at the Rippers, what was the Rippers' biggest issue?
The slap.
No
Turnovers.
slap.
But they turned
just-
over the ball constantly. I felt every game they're getting the double bounces. They're getting, like, the team is just not on the same page.
And that's the thing, not to go too negatively here too, but looking at the Rippers roster real quick, I think one of the goalie, and that's a single anyway, not too much either, but there's like a goalie.
Brendan, we're 5 minutes into the
I
pod.
feel like, well, it's an overall like goalie thing too. All the goalies at some point figured out that they really need to just get on those knees, and Panic just refused to do it. And it was important. Like, you saw Zoe have trouble early on with the 5-hole, and what was the key? Just knee pads. And Zoe was a fantastic goalie once he put those on. And Panic was just like, nope, not going to do it. And then it didn't serve them well at all.
Yeah, the Rippers maybe could have gone for a goalie change later on. I think the problem is there, who do you put back there? Probably Jack Doyle. You lose a little bit of what he's able to do offensively or in a transition moment. So kind of a tough spot to be. But, I mean, we love Justin.
Yes, always.
Just,
entertaining back there, no matter what.
He did make that one where he caught it between his legs. That was pretty good.
That's good. That's good. I do like when he has a bad play in goal, and then just once they change fields, he just starts sprinting back and forth just to hype himself up. It's always a good move. Rob, you mentioned earlier about these two teams, the Goodfellas and Rippers, that they could have made a trade to even themselves out, balance themselves out. What do you have an idea of what that trade should have been and could have helped?
Well, the Rippers needed someone who could play down low. The Goodfellas needed someone who could throw, I think, more than Canobio could, be a bit more of a presence there. I mean, going in, I don't know if Ryan Cohen would have been tradable for the Rippers, but maybe like a Dan Rourke for Sirocco could have made sense there.
I like that. Yeah. I think that's that nails it.
I think what the big thing is with these two teams is they bought into too much. And Jimmy and Jake talked about this at one point. They bought in too much to one specific philosophy of how to play the game, and then did not play that way during the tournament. Like, you saw the Rippers, they talked about it ad nauseum. They were built to be a throwing team. They did not throw nearly as much as they should have until, I believe, their third game. And then they were like, hey, you know what? This works a lot better. And then Jolly's team, the Goodfellas, I just came up with that on the spot. The Goodfellas really, like I said before, it surprised me with players who are as agile and as athletic as Rob and Zoe that they did not get more slap goals. Because you take out Jolly, right, who led the league in slap goals with 11. That's 9 slap goals, period, between Zoe, Rob, and Dan Canobio. Dan Canobio having a whopping 0. Finding his own throwing the ball. But you build these teams. Obviously, the smaller guys, you need to make up for it by being sneaky, being able to get around someone, being able to, go between people's legs to make these plays. And they just did not do any of that. We saw all of that coming from, like, Jake's team and the story. And they were being real creative with everything they do, mostly because of Jake himself. But outside of Jolly, the Goodfellas really didn't figure it out until they said, hey, you know what? Silliness wins games in the very last game of the tournament.
Yeah. I think Rob said a little bit before, too. Like, the Goodfellas' big problem was that they were clogging up the crease or around the crease. And when you talk about a team like the Story, why they're good is because they have throwers and slappers alike. But having that throw, even that just the throwing option, even if they're not scoring, just having the option up there really does open up the floor so much, and even just give you more opportunities down low. It's like, if they pass it to the thrower, now we got to cover that guy, and then it creates a lane for slaps as well. So when you have absolutely no threat up top, it's just going to be a bunch of guys. You might as well put your whole team defensively in the crease against a bunch of slappers.
Exactly. And I mean, you look at even the Rippers. I know the breakdowns did a lot. The story did a lot. They'd have two guys at times up top, or maybe one up top and one in the neutral, so he can still run in. That's a situation where it's a lot harder to defend. The throws will be a little more open, and the slap will be a little more open as well.
Yeah. And like I said before, people, I almost feel like people were too quick to give up on the slap, minus like Jolly, Jake. Joe's had a lot, but he was more of a post-up guy. Lou and Rob, same thing. Like most of the players in this tournament, you could see. I want to see the breakdown.
And while you're figuring that out, I wonder if there's a way to like encourage the slap more in Slapball, especially because like those are some of the more fun goals to see. Like it's always fun to see someone rip it from half court and score.
Right.
But like it's really exciting when you see like a great cross court pass to slap, or a cross crease pass to slap. Always a lot of fun.
It's 65-89, by the way. Thrown goals versus slapped goals. There's 65 slapped goals to 89 thrown goals.
Right.
I feel like the one way you could do it is to tweak the rules, and I know that the rules are in place for safety. So I'm not like trying to be like, oh, Jimmy, you should be doing this, actually.
Clip that.
Clip it. Send it to Jimmy. Everybody email it to him.
Everybody.
At jimmyjimmyjimmy@yahoo.com. But
Damn, it's out there
like
now.
one way. It's out there. I feel like one way you could fix that is by changing the rule to both feet planted to just 1 foot planted.
Oh.
And I think that could change a lot of dynamicism of the game.
I was going to go the other direction. I thought you were going to say about the throwing aspect of it, to actually keep your feet planted, because when people throw, like a lot of times, like in the later games, they're fully moving. Like I remember in one of the first couple of games, someone gets a penalty for like kind of being on the move and throwing. Later on, I feel like the rules on throwing are kind of just tossed out, and you could just kind of be on the run and just like whip it. I think you should be fully planted, stand still.
Throwing rules were that you need to just be in the defensive zone. You can be moving on a throw.
Yeah.
So I know there was some confusion there, and I think the way that the officials, the way that Ref Kev and Maddie was interpreting and applying that rule may have evolved over the course of the tournament, where they were allowing a bit more on the slap too with the feet planted. I think in the later games you see allowing a little bit of motion to not be so strict with the rule.
Like after the slap happens, you can take your momentum with you a little bit, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, as long as you're doing it in a safe way. If you're doing it where, even if it doesn't cause an unsafe situation, if it could have caused an unsafe situation, we had enough injuries as it was during this tournament.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So like that's why I'm saying like I feel like that could help, but it could also definitely increase the injuries. I mean, because you just think about it as a fan, right? Brendan and I played handball together intramural in college, and the coolest goals that we would see, at least in my opinion, are the ones where you'd take the ball, you'd jump up, and you'd whip it around the defender. With these rules in place, it kind of takes that out of it completely. Jumping is illegal entirely, you know? How many jumping violations did we see towards the end of the tournament? At the beginning, we kind of saw it. You know, they let it go a little bit, and then by the end, it's like no jumping was tolerated. Period. There has to be a way to fix that. There has to be a way to make this exciting without making it dangerous.
Right. The jumping is a tough one because I can see that being one of the biggest danger issues. Even just like jumping straight up and down can be bad if you like land on someone's foot. It could hurt your knee or your ankle.
And not to mention you're jumping on concrete, which just destroys your knees.
No matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even the plastic floorball floor. That's straight up warehouse.
Yeah. Was there talks of that about like rolling out this tournament with some matting on top of like a floorball type floor, just for ease of the knees and stuff?
Ooh,
not that I'm aware of. You know, that floor takes a while to put together too. Like we actually have to put it together in a couple of weeks for floorball coming up, and the whole company's coming out for a day to get it done. So
yeah,
It's these little puzzle pieces that are about this big.
Yeah, I've seen the video in fast forward, so it looks very quick to me because it comes together in about 30 seconds.
I think last year to put the 40, it took us. There were probably 15 of us. It probably took us like 2-3 hours.
Wow! Oh my God, that's a long time.
Pretty
for
good.
People.
Have you guys considered all the players wearing moon shoes?
Oh,
make him jump higher.
Make him jump higher.
Either no jumping or really high into the ceiling.
Either that or my next idea was just putting pillows on the ground.
Also good work.
Tempur-Pedic, get the sponsorship.
Tickle fight battles.
So
I think me and Peter, we also talked a little bit before we get into like game by game stuff or whatever. I think we were talking about potentially figuring out like I guess defense is just a sort of blocking shots, right? It's tough because I guess I see a game that's so similar to basketball in a lot of ways, and sometimes it looks just a little silly for like say when like the point guard, we'll call it, is taking up the ball and they're just kind of running around in circles so that their feet don't stop. It just like looks a little bit funny, and I wonder if there's a way to like somehow like in handball you can get like a dribble and a couple steps. You
get 3 dribbles or 3 steps.
I wonder if
when we played in college, it was unlimited dribbles, but only 3 steps.
Right. But the dribbling might be sloppy with that ball.
Defense was interesting. I think we started to see defense get figured out by the end of the tournament with the double goalie strategy. Interceptions skyrocketed in the second half of this tournament. You saw steals kind of go down, and by steals I mean like if somebody goes to self-slap, like trying to slap the ball out and get it for yourself, you saw that go down because it kind of wasn't worth it. You could risk a foul, and if you touch it and then there's a double bounce, I believe the other team gets the ball back in that scenario. Not to mention, I think there was 3 steals in the entire tournament by my count. Interceptions, blocks were huge. I think people started to figure out
that's with the biggest way of defending. Yeah.
Well, with the increase in half-court shots at the second half of this tournament, a lot of them are going in
too. Yeah.
You saw a lot more guys like start low to almost deceive the thrower and then shoot their hand up to block the ball or get in the way. Like we saw Luke famously get hit in the head. That's really the defense right now. But I agree with you in the sense that I kind of want defense outside of shots to be a little more prevalent. Because eventually at this point, what's stopping a team from throwing 2, 3, all 4 guys in the goal to like block a shot? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because if there's an incentive like 3 steps, you're only allowed 3 steps, or you're only allowed 5 steps, whatever you want, so that we prevent like this whole. In my mind, it's so just like running in circles, or Jake just like running in circles. To prevent that, you need something that incentivizes them to get rid of the ball faster, to increase interceptions and to increase steals, really.
And especially for teams like when it's like under a minute and you have the lead, like how do you figure that situation out? It ended up not coming into play too much. You play kind of gentlemanly at the end there, but I would like, I guess, more black and white rules about how to finish games with that.
Well, it's that, and it's, it is a content company, and I think everybody knows, hey, if we're ahead by 1 and we just hold it, that's awful content.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I definitely saw that feedback from not just you guys, but a bunch of people about at the game's end, and it did feel a little weird in the moment, like, oh, the game's over? The game's over? Okay, the game's over. The clock, does it stop? Does it not stop?
Right.
We could clean that up a little bit, I'm sure. Put some sort of procedure in place. I don't think it's ever going to come to like a shot clock, per se. Currently, I don't know if we have. I'm sure we could get it if we decided to, but we don't have that in the warehouse right now. The tech to do that.
Right.
The freezes kind of work as a way to prevent that. If you save them for late in the game, if you're trailing, you make a quick possession, get the ball back. So we did try to put something in there.
Freezes were fun moments too. A lot of fun moments with the freezes.
Yeah, they were interesting. Every sport we do from season to season, some rule gets tweaked. So,
of course, has to.
Slapball. If Slapball's back next year, I would assume there'd be some tweaks.
Yeah, The one thing that I thought, and this is rude, this is like, I don't like that I thought this, but I was thinking freezes had one issue with me.
Okay.
And that was if you called a freeze and they were close to the goal, they took it from where they stood. And freezes being a defensive tactic, trying to get the ball to turn over, whatever, I really didn't like the throw from up close. Mm-hmm. I almost wish, and Brendan, you could disagree with me if you want, Rob, you too, but I almost wish if they called a freeze on who got a close up one. I think
Lucas
BBD
Diversa got one. He got one.
A close up one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I almost wish you could do that and just be like, okay, from the closest point to the goal in the neutral zone, you take this shot. It would increase I think it would increase ingenuity in plays, because then at that point, it's no longer, say you're on the story, right? It's no longer like, oh, just give it to Dalton in the neutral zone, and then he'll pass it off to Lou or he'll pass it off to Joe's, because they're not going to call a freeze on them down low, but they are not going to call a freeze on Dalton in the neutral zone. And then you can go out there, call the freeze on Joe's close to goal in this example. That puts Joe's back to the front, and it makes kind of Dalton and Jake have to take the point on that. And obviously you can't call it if like you throw it up to Joe's and he slaps it down. But just something that makes them realize, is passing to Joe's right now worth the risk of him getting freezed? Or do I try and take it myself, or does Jake try and take it himself to figure out how to score this goal? Right now it's a little half-baked because it's on the spot. Mm-hmm. But that's like, I just didn't like the very close to goal freezes.
Okay.
From my standpoint, that's just a bad freeze that got called. Like,
yeah.
You call the freeze there, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So the team on defense has to make a choice. If we want to use a freeze here, how badly do we want to freeze if it's Dalton in the neutral zone? So to me, that's part of the strategy.
Yeah.
Fine to disagree.
I'm kind of with
your offensive and defensive strategies kind of coming against each other in that spot, and something has to win.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, also like the close-up ones don't look like easy shots by any means either. Like I think there could be some more strategy there to, like, if someone's kind of
they were
on baseline, angles. Yeah, it's a tough angle to get there.
Do you know how they take penalty shots in handball? I'm not like trying to call you guys out, but well, you guys are both dum-dums. To neutralize to neutralize or to take away the advantage that somebody has in handball for throwing a penalty, an uncontested shot, they have to do it on 1 foot.
Oh, I do remember this.
They're not allowed to have 2 feet planted. So, like, in theory, it sounds great. In practice, if you ever watch it, it's like, oh, this is just a normal shot, but they're also professionals, you know? I've definitely tried it and fallen on my face a couple times, but something like that, I almost feel like if you get a penalty, or what's it called, a freeze down low, something like either both your feet have to stay planted the whole time so that they can't like build up crazy momentum. You know, it doesn't fully nerf the down low freeze, and it still is like, hey, you froze them in this dangerous area. It's on you. Like, who cares if somebody Jack takes it, spins his hand like this, hits the ground, and, you know, takes a wicked bounce in. That's what you chose to do. But at the same time, it doesn't make it so that, you know, Jack could throw an 80-mile-an-hour fastball from 2 feet away.
Yeah, well, Jack's also the kind of guy that I feel like is afraid to hurt people, so wouldn't be able to do that.
I'm just saying names. Who said Jack Doyle? Not me.
Not you.
But that's just my little spiel. I understand that I understood going into it. It might not have been the majority opinion. That's just how I felt about it.
Sure. I mean,
but
you're allowed to feel any way you want to feel. I do want to say too quickly that these are also like nitpicks. I love this game, and it was also so entertaining. And I got so many people that aren't even warehouse people to like sit down with me and watch, heavily engaged. So for like a brand new sport, so fun. I think it just I think everyone coming into the comments and giving suggestions just comes from a place of love. And I think everybody probably at Drama Media knows that everyone just like loves it and wants to be a part of it.
Yeah. I really hope that this comes back.
Yeah, me too.
Whether it's a franchise series or just continues in the Captain's Series, the Captain's League alone. Don't mistake that 55-minute spiel I just did on a specific rule as me hating the game. I absolutely love this game. Handball is like one of my favorite sports to watch, period, and this is a really great variation on it.
Okay.
Really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I think I don't like next year's plans aren't locked in by any means yet. I think we have some meetings come up the next few weeks to get that process started. I think Slapball is probably coming back next year to Captain's League.
Okay.
Yeah. I know seeing on Twitter, Jimmy just like, it felt like every day that an episode was posted, Jimmy being like, I can't believe you guys fucking love this.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see.
Invented a sport that's getting 50K views in 3 days.
Yeah.
It's, we're really happy with how it performed too. So obviously we notice how much people are enjoying it and we really appreciate it. As far as like franchise, I know Jimmy has said he doesn't think he can teach guests coming in the game and how it works and how to play it safely and all that in the allotted time we have.
And from a place of content too, like there's no Slapball professionals to come in and bring you new viewers anyway, so it doesn't even really help.
You don't know that, Brendan.
That's true. But yeah, all right.
I think we are the Slapball professionals.
I think so. I guess you are. That's
kind
true.
of what I was getting
You're already
at.
there. You're already there.
But let's go talk about the two teams from the finals now.
Oh.
We talked about Goodfellas. We talked about the Rippers. Both had their flaws. Both had their, successes. And now we're going to two teams that were incredibly well-rounded. In, obviously, the champions and the team that was undefeated until the championship.
Mm-hmm.
With these two teams, I think once the story figured out the two goalie situation, and once Lou sort of like showed up in goal and really kind of announced himself as like the fifth goalie of the tournament because he was making some great saves in there.
Yeah.
That's when the tide shifted in the story's favor. Not in the part where the breakdowns had 0 goals in the first half. I think that was just great defense, but we saw at the end, the breakdowns made it a 1-goal game by the end. After scoring 0 in the first, their adjustments with Jimmy at the helm were unparalleled.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is Lou found a new defensive role where he wasn't really being as impactful before this game on defense.
Yeah.
Jake being probably the best point guard that I think I've ever seen in a warehouse games sport. That's including
floorball, I guess.
Floorball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this team was stoppable. It was wild to me that breakdowns beat them in the regular season.
It was a close game too.
Yeah.
Most of the way.
Yep. Very close.
It was funny. I think they talked about it a little bit in the broadcast that day too, how it just seems to be the way of the championship games where it just becomes such a crazy defensive game because both teams are playing a little nervous and just like a little close to the vest. And I think that kind of played against the breakdowns going into the second half too. Obviously they scored a lot more goals in the second half, but the story scored more. But like being shut out in the first half makes you just like feel like you have to play rushed the rest of the games, like get points on the board quickly because you didn't do any work in the first half. And I think that led to a lot of them. It seems like just so many conversations between just the two brothers and how to get the ball to the two of them, and Lucas and BBD up top just were almost useless, not even to their own fault up top.
How dare you?
Yeah, you could see it. You could see BBD is open in the slap, and he's not getting the ball passed to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the breakdowns got into a bit of a rhythm where they said, okay, we need to throw the ball. Where they had their set plays, they could get open shots.
Mm-hmm.
They have Luke was a great shooter, and Jimmy was a very good shooter as well.
Yeah,
they had the weapons to do it. I think that did bite them in the end a little bit because they were scoring like too quickly almost. And the story had time to really let things develop and play their full offense. And then the Dalton's just ripping them like crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is rude, so I apologize in advance to BBD. He's a great friend. We love him very much. You mentioned how BBD was completely open, and the ball was not coming his way. Brendan, it's my turn to speak. Please don't do that again. How much of that do you think was deliberate from Jimmy or Luke, just based on the fact that, and Brendan and I were talking about this before the pod, based on the fact that BBD had a couple chances where he could have first time slapped it to take a shot or gotten it with nobody in front of him and held onto it just a little too long so that even if he tried a self-shot, it was going to get blocked anyways. And he had this reluctance to shoot on all, a little bit of hesitancy in his offensive game. How much do you think of that factored into Jimmy and Luke being like, I know BBD's open, but he's like got a game where he's a little off today?
I mean, it could have. To me, I still think you need to get the ball in there just to make the defense adjust and make them spread out, personally.
Yeah, make them think it's a possibility.
Right. Whether or not he does it or not almost doesn't matter. Just make the defense think he might. So that's kind of where I would land with it. I've edited the whole entire series. I heard every mic'd up thing that was in or got cut, which wasn't a whole lot. At no point did I hear them saying like, oh, "Don't give BBD the ball. He sucks."
Right.
Right.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to create a little discussion here. Not necessarily that he sucks, but more along the lines of like, we need a high impact play right now. BBD's holding on to it for a little bit too long. So I'm a big soccer fan. One of my biggest critiques of my favorite team right now is that a couple of our players decide to try and do a little too much, where they'll get the ball and they dribble into the box, and instead of making a quick pass off, they're like, let me just beat one more defender and then get the ball taken off of them. And it almost feels like, again, I love BBD, and I think that he was very good in this tournament up until this game. He had a ton of assists by my count, a ton of assists. In this game, for some reason, he was that player holding onto the ball just for one extra second, almost like he was trying to slow the game down to like take a second to breathe and figure out all of his options, when it really needed to be a little more high impact because the story was closing in on all of the breakdowns players very, very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. And then, I mean, Diversa as well. He knew, you could ask him, he'd tell you, I'm not an offensive player.
Right.
So they were a little hamstrung there when you have maybe 2.5 players on offense. They'll tie game 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's where they played their best games, the breakdowns, was when Diversa was producing even just a little bit up top. And that's why the story was so good in this game, because you have characters like Lou and Joe's that will give you even just a couple goals here and there, or like at least be a threat up for a slap, and then both go right back into the goal to do a tandem goal situation. But that was the difference, because you can almost cancel out Dalton and Luke a little bit, because I think Dalton maybe has a slight edge, but in this particular game, you have your aces at the half court, and what else is different about these teams is that the green guys were slapping a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing, they neutralize each other, Luke and Dalton.
Yeah.
Kind of. The big difference in this game that kind of unneutralized them and swayed in Dalton's favor is that Luke was letting his fatigue get to him a little more than Dalton was.
Dalton just doesn't get fatigued.
What?
He might not.
Whoa, Robo.
Dalton might still be here working right now. I don't know. He was here before I came in. Look, the breakdowns definitely were like team fatigue by that last game. You could tell like Jimmy's calf. I think Diversa had his knee or something he was complaining about. And
you never would have known, because Diversa, the goalie in that game, was nuts. What an incredible goalie game for him.
Yeah, but that kind of mentality can be contagious. I don't think the other guys played like they were hurt so much, but
sure, right.
It can play into your mindset and how you approach the game.
Well, even towards the end, right? I don't think Luke showed his fatigue until the last 2-ish minutes. And that's when you saw him like biting on shots that were being taken a little more, where beforehand he would kind of be able to stay calm and hold until the shot actually came off. Because you saw it in that very last goal.
Yeah.
Jimmy and Luke both bit hard, right?
Yeah.
So that's what really came to it. And I get it. It's the end of the game. They thought that he didn't have enough time to shoot, I think. I saw that somewhere. I can't remember if it was like a post game or if it was
really
on something else.
It was like the Weekly Dumb this week. I know
that
they
was
spoke
it.
about
that's where it came
bit.
from. That's so funny.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Where they thought he didn't have enough time to shoot. I didn't think he had enough time to shoot with a fake. They bit hard. You saw earlier Luke had a couple other instances where he bit hard and Dalton was able to be opportunist and shoot it in this very tiny opening, but enough just because Luke took that one step that was uncharacteristic to him.
But I think
he bit hard, but he bit this
just
much.
a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that just goes to show you how the breakdowns were playing in this game, just playing, like I said, a little bit nervous because that final shot means the game. And I think that's why they bit hard, as Peter says, because like, this is it. This is the last chance we have at continuing this game. So that's why they put every last bit of effort, those two jumps that they had to block that shot. But if they just were playing more calm, like the story was playing, they might have, I don't know, like there's so many pump fakes at that position. Maybe just give a little bit of like a, I don't know. You have two guys up there trying to defend. One, it's hard. I don't know. It's difficult. It's the very last second of a
Finish
game.
a thought, Brendan.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
And imagine if during that timeout they spoke and Jimmy was like, "Hey, I'll take the pump fake. You stay on him."
Yeah.
That would have been insane.
Right.
What foresight that would have been. That would have been great.
Exactly.
I don't think like
You know what? They should have done exactly that.
You know what?
Well,
Let's rewind time.
they'll say that.
Good thought.
I feel like we're not giving enough flowers to Lou and Joe's specifically from the story. Joe's what? Chem. That's right. Chem.
Everyone comment Chem.
Lou had a very strange tournament where he wasn't like consistently great. He had his games where he scored, where he like I want to say it was the last two where he scored 2 goals in each one. In the finale I was thinking like, oh my goodness, is this going to be a Lou game? Is he just going to show up and be like, hey guys, fuck you for picking me second to last?
He never really like fully did that or took anything over, but he was just a great role player.
Did I tell you what Lou said to me before the tournament started?
No.
I wrote to him before the tournament started after the teams were picked, and I wrote to him, and I was like, "There's my champion," and he's the only member of the warehouse that I like sent that to. I go, "There's my champion," and he goes, "Hey Pop, ain't no way you're saying we're the favorites." So then after they won, I wrote back to him. I said,
"You motherfucker!"
I said, "Hey Pop, ain't no way you were telling me you weren't the favorites. Absolutely dominated."
That fits the mentality of the time, though. I'll give him credit. Like, going into that draft, like we had 2 weeks of broadcast testing and stuff, and Lou was there. I think he was the worst player on rules violations, like stepping lines, double bounces. Like going in, I was like, Lou might go last just because he's a walking turnover.
Right.
And he really, like by the end, he was playing double goalie with Joe's defensive plays. Shaved his mustache. Still don't know why.
Interesting choice.
Pretty interesting. Pretty good tournament.
He needed to be aerodynamic. He had a very good tournament.
Maybe.
Joe's too. Joe's went from having a very obvious flaw in his game to somehow correcting it, where it wasn't perfect, but he was starting to block those shots towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the knee pads.
His knee pads. I'm telling you, it's the knee pads.
It was.
It was the knee pads.
Mm-hmm. He's also a big
pads.
target too. Like he's a good person to put in goal because he's one of your larger players out there. So, but I thought he would just be mainly goalie, and he definitely had some solid slaps in there too. He was pretty versatile.
Joe's had some very good like at the post, pass me the ball.
Yeah,
I'm going to just knock it in. I believe he was the only player in the tournament to not attempt a shot past. Like,
whoa, that's a fun fact.
I believe he's the only one.
I don't think he was ever there. I think there was one he could have picked up on a turnover and flung it, and he just didn't even know what to do.
Yeah.
yeah.
Didn't matter. He did his job. That's all he needed to do.
That's
and
right.
then in the end, the
post player on
story.
both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He was unbelievable. That's the definition of somebody knowing their role. Joe said, "You know what? I could like attempt to change it up a little, maybe get a little more glory, but would this hurt the team more? No, I'm just going to stick to what I'm good at."
And he was playing kooky the whole time. You see him on the sidelines when he's not playing. He is going buck wild over there, and I think that kind of goes into the games he plays also.
I love Joe's, man. He's so entertaining.
He's one of the best.
I tell you how many times that one save he made. I think it was a regular season game where like all three defenders like jumped, and like our editor put in like the fake little like the vertical heights, and he just sticks his hand out at the end and blocks it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think 20 people came in and wanted to watch that over and over in our little room that we had at these games.
That was crazy.
It was
Forgot
fantastic.
about that. What a good moment.
I love a defensive play like that.
Yeah.
He made it look like, guys, why'd you jump?
You can just do this.
I had it.
Just put your paw out.
Guys, I had it the whole week. You don't trust me or something? But then it ends. Whole thing. It ends with the two best teams. I think that it's very fair to say that it was story, breakdown, big drop to Goodfellas and Rippers. And, it's not their fault. It's a new game. They could only go based off of practice games that they saw. From the way that people were talking about it, it almost felt like Jack's team underperformed.
Especially with Jack. If you have like a Jack that is a capable thrower, it's a whole different team.
Right. As opposed to Jimmy or Jake's team overperforming, it almost felt like Jack's team underperformed. My thought process was the Goodfellas were never going to be good because I'm thinking handball, and I'm thinking, what do you need to succeed in handball? You need height, and they picked no height. Then as we watch the tournament, I come to learn, like, height's not really that important in this game. I think
if you want height, you could just go on the other guy's shoulders.
Right, that's what I was thinking from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
Made their own height.
I mean, technically, how is that legal? Because the feet are not planted.
I don't know. As it was happening, I was like, wait, if we got all these safety rules, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah.
Hey, you're allowing it?
I guess that was kind of like the Nestor like fake throw sort of thing. I think the umpires are just I don't know. I guess just let it ride.
Yeah. Do the play. The play!
That's like, that one.
The only play we have.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody as happy as Jolly was once that succeeded. I don't think I rewatched it and I was like, this is childlike laughter that Jolly has right now. I've never seen this in an adult before.
I think the entire warehouse was doing that. Like, I was running a camera and I was like, I think I got on our comms and I was like, what just happened?
Can we please pause production? I need to do something right now.
I need to giggle and be on my own.
I mean, to bring the pod down for a quick second and bring it back up, my cat is currently sick, and we were having a hard time the other day. And literally watching this game to get over that, and my wife is in the other room, and she hadn't seen the play yet. And she was like, just like down. I think she was tearing up a little bit. And then I was like, just come in here for a second and watch this real quick. And she's like, I don't want to. Just sit down and watch this. And I showed her the play, and it got a really big chuckle out of her, and it made both of our nights much better. It works. Warehouse cures people.
It was insane. We've been really lucky these first two tournaments. The third place games have been electric in weird, fun ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think it's because like the teams are kind of like, who fucking cares?
I think the captains care. They want that point.
Yeah, they want to not get relegated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys know off the top of your head, but moving forward after this tournament, so we have two more sports in Captain's League.
Correct.
Do you think there's a chance that either Rippers or Goodfellas could even get like a chance at the crown, or how far out are they?
Obviously.
It kind of depends.
At the crown or at not
like,
being relegated?
At crown, like where they're set up, especially with like draft picks they have left over for the other sports.
Well, you have to look at how many points there are left to get, and half of the points in the league are still out there.
Yeah.
So anything could still happen. Although I will say, Jolly's floorball setup doesn't look great.
Okay, because he traded a lot of that capital off. I think Jack has a lot of capital in Blitzball.
He sold a lot. Yeah, Jack has the 1/1 for Blitzball.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and he has himself as well, which helps.
Yeah.
And he has himself, yeah.
Who probably
that's
would have gone 1-1.
Early team to look at, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
Kooky.
I'm very excited for Captain's League Blitzball. And I think Jimmy was saying maybe on Morning a little bit that he's a little bit worried about Captain's League Blitzball because it's just like a a different level of talent than like the Blitzball fans are used to. But me personally, I'm excited to see almost like a little bit of a drop in talent and just see like a different shape of the game, having like a 4-person team, which will just be kind of fun to see, and the strategy of picking certain positions will be kind of exciting too.
We have already shot the Captain's League Blitzball. I can't really say anything about it, obviously, but I could say things that we said going in, and I know Jimmy was saying that he has pitches that he won't throw in a Blitzball battle that he would totally throw in Captain's League.
Okay.
Would work against the novice hitter.
Right.
Is there a similar speed limit? I don't think that's
the rules for that are the same. There are a few obviously rules differences because they're 4-man teams.
Right.
But
I think Jimmy told us some already. Really, it's the speed limit's only the big one.
That's the same. That hasn't changed.
Right.
Okay.
Oh man.
Before we get too deep, do you want to do awards now before we just talk about all the other sports?
No.
Okay.
Just
because that's why I asked. It's a yes or no question.
Just because I want to talk about one thing that was very interesting to me was a common theme that we saw in this tournament was goalies going forward when their team was on the attack, right? But obviously somebody was also staying back to be that emergency goalie.
In case of a
but how many times, right? How many times had we seen that not be the goalie of the team? And that always surprised me because we saw with the Story, it was Lou. With the Goodfellas, it was Dan Canobio, right? With the Rippers, more often than not, it was Dan Rourke. I can't seem to think of who it was for the breakdowns, but we saw this strategy that was kind of, I don't know if it was talked about amongst the teams.
I think it was Luke. I think it was Luke, by the way. I remember making a saber too.
Right.
Hey, this is someone who's probably got better wheels in the team to get back, just to be a body back there, where some other guys are a bit more burly. Give them some chance to get back in net.
And the throwers.
It's got to be. Yeah, I think it has to be your thrower because they're already back there. I think where the teams ran into some trouble is if there was a potential turnover happening, you, as a thrower, you have to kind of maintain your poise and not dart in to try to get the ball. You have to retreat to try to defend the goal. So, I mean, some people did that better than others in different spots.
I mean, it's a hard brain change to make from the beginning, right? Like, you saw Dan Canobio got pretty good at it. Lou, by the end of the game, got pretty good at it. By the end of the tournament, got pretty good at it. It was just very interesting to me to see that. I don't know if everybody spoke about it, like as players, or like it was just kind of accepted that all of the goalies were post-up guys. They were right at the goal, just waiting for the ball so they could just tap it in. You know, for lack of a better term. I know it's a lot harder, easier said than done. But it was very interesting to me because you saw a lot of times during this tournament where all four of the players were past the throw zone, for lack of a better term. But always when you saw this happen, because you saw BBD get back for some, he was not a thrower. Rob Sirocco got back for some, he was not a thrower, although he did have some throwing goals, or one. And I think that might have been off of a freeze, but I'm not 100% certain off the top of my head. Dalton got back for some, but he was a thrower. Lou was not. When Dalton would run in, Lou would go back to the throw point. So it's something that I was thinking about quite often. And this is why I stopped you, because we obviously could have passed over. This is a very obvious thing that's going on that doesn't need analysis. But it did intrigue me that I wonder if the captains had a talk of, like, if the ball gets turned over, you're our only defender for a long throw.
I assume that did happen because it seemed like everyone had that awareness. I think it's good strategy.
Yeah.
Like they should.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's why you saw people like Lou assume this like secondary goalie role. It made too much sense for him to, when they had the two goalies, it made too much sense for him to be the other goalie. You know, where we saw in Baggage, we saw Luke back there, but then when they switched to like trying or talking about doing two goalies, it was BBD in the goal. And I started to think to myself, is this almost muddying the water a little too much with the responsibilities that everybody has to have when you see, all right, now BBD come back, be a pseudo goalie, but also you just came from posting up, down, low to get these, quote unquote tap in shots.
Right.
Very interesting, because the mindset of an athlete, which everybody is a professional paid athlete in the warehouse, the mindset of an athlete is notoriously fragile. And even though these guys aren't actual athletes, you can only put so much pressure on their minds, and adding responsibility could lead to mistakes, which, again, I love BBD, but we kind of saw, I believe in the final, him step out of the way of a shot that came in that ended up being a goal for the story. And it could be that, a little bit too much direction or not enough confident direction led to that for the breakdowns.
Right. Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah, there's definitely some innate sort of feelings like, oh, I'm the closest one back here. Let me just get back there quick.
Nate was in the last episode.
Oh, okay. This is Rob. Okay.
Common mistake. This is Rob.
Thanks. Okay.
And a Rob, right. Brendan.
And a Rob.
Right.
But that's all. That's the last thing that I wanted to say, and we could get into our player of the tournament.
Player of the tournament. Loud again.
That was pretty loud, Brendan.
Yeah.
I don't know who should take this one. Rob, how about you take it? You could pick our player of the tournament.
Is this the most valuable player of the tournament or just the player of the tournament?
That's up to you. We have player and we have defender, and that's the two categories that we have.
To me, it's Dalton. Top scorer, made some plays on defense, carried the team, scored the game-winning goal in the championship. To me, that's a shoo-in. And there are other guys who you could say, you could look at a few other guys. Ryan Cohen had a really big tournament, especially his last, I think, 2 games. He turned it on with the arm. Luke O'Brien, another guy who had a really big tournament, could be up there. To me, it's Dalton. I think the players got it right going into the playoffs. They picked an MVP, and I don't think Dalton did anything in the playoffs to take that mantle away from him.
Absolutely not. And as a player that's not a goalie, also a great defender. Really good at that.
Yeah.
And every sport he plays is a great defender. Kills it.
I think I have Dalton, by my count, tied with Luke for the most blocks as an outfield player.
It seemed to be that way. It seemed like to be the shooters wanted to block the other shooters because they wanted to be the best shooter in that game that they're playing.
Yeah. Or they're psychopaths.
Yeah. Column A, column B.
But yeah, Dalton absolutely deserved it, I think. He had quite a few assists also, by my count, 8. And the reason I say by my count, obviously, is these are very unofficial. These are just what I thought were appropriate.
Yeah, you had a spreadsheet. You just kind of just punched in random numbers and
I watched the game and I just went like this. I just gave jazz hands to my numbers. Very, very accurate. I'm good. There's a reason I'm an accountant, dude. Dalton deserved it 100%. The only other person that I could have thought of that I think would have, there's Luke, obviously.
Right.
And then the only other person that I would have named is the person who I have as defender of the tournament.
Defender of the tournament.
Every time I hear that, I just want to join in.
You're in
I'm
there.
in on the joke, too. I'm in there. That's just my laughter.
That's your laughter. You sound like a room full of people laughing when you laugh.
This is why. It's the only reason I have friends. I think the defender of the tournament, which is inclusive of goalies, has to be
Lucas Diversa. I said it first.
Diverse. Fucking
oh,
damn it!
I was right though. Lucas Diversa, way to go! Incredible goalie.
Lucas Diversa.
Also useful slapping as well. Some of the goal, you were a great goalie even going into the playoffs, and then the game that you lost in the championship was maybe one of your best games. You made some ridiculous saves. I don't think I saw anyone else really make kick saves like you either. Those are kind of nuts.
splits.
Sometimes they look like luck, and then you see the replay, like, oh no, he actually like needed to kick that out. Did some splits and landed on top of balls. Just like he seemed unstoppable for a while.
Landed on top of
Diversa's unreal. I don't know why we hired a guy who's such a good goalie to do data analysis, but
I mean,
we got the best of both worlds there.
You really did, and he's such a good personality too.
Yeah,
Lucas cracks me up all the time. But statistically, least goals allowed by a goalie in this tournament by quite a margin. Most saves made by quite a margin by a goalie. You know, his percentages. By my counts, his save percentage is the only one to be over 530, and hit was 640. This guy was able to not only run over on offense, not only impersonate an 1820s baseball pitcher, not only make crucial saves.
You're talking about his wind up for his throws?
What?
You're talking about his wind up for his throws? He looks like
an
old baseball player.
What are you talking about?
The way you said an 1820s baseball player, the way he kind of like goes for it.
I think Jack Doyle called it a YI auto windup.
Yeah.
I think that was perfect. That was spot on.
That is.
Yes, that is what I was talking about. He was able to provide for his team in goals, in goal. Oh, wow. I should be a slam poet. He had a decently high goals per shots on target ratio. I think he was he had about a 300 goals for shots on target, which is pretty good for a guy who primarily slapped. And he had like a sneaky amount of shots that he took. He had almost 20 shots taken by him, and he was able to hoof it back down, make almost 60 saves, with the next highest being 47, and only let up 32 goals. Insane what Lucas did. I think that the players got it exactly right in the post regular season awards voting with Dalton and Lucas, because obviously that's who we picked.
Yeah. And we thought about it first, but we just didn't get to say it until now.
We thought about it first, but we had to wait contractually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Contractually, we had to wait. But
that's the way it works.
Now for the fun part, Brendy. Play Roulette Me Love You, because it's time for us to do a draft.
I'm trying to think if I have any fun songs on here.
We have Roulette Me Love You. Do you have the Dutch Gummy Bears theme song?
No. I have this.
Gummy Bear. Do you remember the show, the Disney Gummy Bears, Rob, from when we were kids?
I remember like hearing about it, but I grew up poor. I didn't have Disney Channel back then.
Well, that's fair. Go on YouTube later and listen to the song in Dutch. It is fantastic.
That's your homework.
It is fantastic. Gummy Bear.
Well, now you don't have to listen to it. You just
now you don't have to listen to it. As our guest, we're going to do a snake draft, and we're going to let you pick what spot you would like to draft in. 1, 2, or rap.
You either get 1 or 2. You have to do a rap.
Or you have to rap for us. Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't do that.
All right, well.
That's out of the question.
I'm just going to borrow from my fantasy football expertise and go with 2.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm a mid-round guy.
Peter, I also want to quickly ask, are we not doing our regular old awards? Is that later?
Oh, fuck. We'll do that now. No, we'll do it later. We'll do it later.
Okay.
Forgot all about that. Good job, Brendan.
I'll take the 1 then.
Brendan's going to take the 1. Peter's going to take. I think I will choose the wrap around as my choice.
Okay.
Okay, Brunken. What?
That's my name.
Brendan, tell everybody what your middle name is. Tell them that it's Brandon.
It's Brendan Duncan Brunken's my middle name, and Patrick's my confirmation name.
And Brandon is your actual middle name.
That's right.
Brandon Rupert.
My first pick.
First pick
goes to Dalton. It's an easy one. I'm not going to pussyfoot around there. He's the man. He was the first pick Was he the first pick in this tournament?
He was the 1-1.
He was the 1-1, and
taller than
he
you.
stayed that way. Stayed that value. He is taller than me.
Taller than you.
A lot of people in the warehouse are taller than I expect. I think I'm just you hear so much about the short company, and then they have some tall guys.
There are a few.
Yeah.
They stand out, but there are a few.
Jack and Zoe in particular are taller than you think.
They're a little taller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joe's is a little taller.
Yeah.
Joe's is big. Yeah.
He's a big man.
I met Joe's on my bachelor party because we went to a Yankee game. Yankees famously got no hit that game. I met Joe's and I was like, I said hi and I was like, Joe's is way bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah. He's like 6'4".
Joe's is like 7'2".
I think he stands up to Aaron Boone. I think when they met on the street, they were like about eye to eye. However tall they were. Either way.
But Dalton's a great first pick. It's the right first pick, Brendan.
Yeah. That's right.
I think. Let's see if Rob gets the right second pick. He's gonna pick.
He's gonna fucking botch this.
He's gonna pick Lou.
Lou Dad?
All right, we're counting it. He said it.
He said it.
The number 2
Peter,
pick.
you got him so good.
Luke O'Brien. I would like to take Luke O'Brien.
Absolutely.
Redacted.
Absolutely. Brendan and I talked about this beforehand. We said the top 3 picks have to be the top 3 picks from the draft itself, which means I will be taking Ryan Cohen as the number 3 pick. It's pretty self-explanatory. If he didn't get hurt before that last game, I think the Goodfellas would be going another tournament in last place. Matty Mass, fantastic.
A couple goals.
He had a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Not only did he score a couple goals, he was what the Rippers so desperately needed in a point guard.
Yeah.
After the first half, Matty was fully comfortable with his role, and he was dictating that offense.
Matty played in our test games. Like he was almost as experienced as almost everyone else coming into the tournament.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I'm very happy we were able to mention that because he really did a good job. But now's where it gets interesting. I have a long time before my next pick, and I could either take.
Time's up.
Oh, okay, Jake. I'm taking Jake. Because Jake, we saw this, like I just said, the Rippers desperately needed a point guard. Jake was the best point guard there by a lot. Jake, not only could he rip goals and score them from the neutral zone, he could also score slap goals by himself. He can dish the ball out to the perfect spot. When we had Jake on the show, he talked about he was most excited for Slapball because this meant that he got to showcase his John Stockton.
He said it, yeah.
He was really out there. He said he was excited to be able to play point guard instead of shooting guard, essentially. And he really excelled at the role.
Yeah.
So he is my number 2 pick.
I hope that when you guys do end up implementing a shot clock into the league, it's just Rob's voice going, "Time's up." I really hope that so much.
What did they say at a second?
I think the crowd might more go for Sam Tasky doing that because she keeps time during the drafts.
Okay, all right.
That might translate over a little better.
Our resident Mo.
Shut up, Rob. I'm not done possessing yet.
I was looking at the actual draft before making that pick. The reason I was so delayed, I was looking at the actual draft and I was like, no, I'm certain there was somebody else I wanted to pick, completely forgetting that the captains were eligible to be drafted.
Right. It is true. Okay,
welcome to the club, Jake.
So it's second pick again.
That's up to me.
I believe.
Go 4 rounds. I'm going to wait on goalie. I think I want. You know what? I'm going to go for the brother. I'm going to take Jimmy. I'm going to go with the brotherly connection and a bit of a field general.
Okay.
Yep.
I like it.
That's crazy. Rob's just going to pick baggage. Oh no.
Breakdowns.
Now I
it's the blue, and he's wearing the baggage too. It's hard.
No, I was too busy staring at Rob's chest. Oh.
He gets that a lot.
My eyes are up here.
All right, Brendan.
All right. Well,
you forfeited
where
your
we're
pick,
at
you were
now. I'm
you were
going to
saying
forfeit
you wanted
the pick.
to
There's no
forfeit
point
the
even
pick.
picking.
Okay,
Yeah, you're right.
forfeit.
Were you writing out forfeit?
Yeah, I
Open
wrote
up a Word document and write out forfeit. My next pick, I think I'm going to go goalie now. I think if I'm going to get anyone right now, I should just get top goalie. Lucas Diversa. Yeah. Come on over.
Yep. It was between Lucas and Jake for me.
Yeah.
Because for this exact reason. And now at this point, I think it's fair to say Rob and I can probably wait until our very last pick for goalie.
Yes.
And your second pick, Brendan, first pick in the third round, goes to Brendan Ruppel.
I am going to grab me.
Can't. It's not in the draft.
That's right. I already have a thrower. Maybe I could use a backup thrower. Maybe I'll do... That's tough. Maybe I'll throw out Dan Rourke some love. Dan Rourke's got a cannon, and I think we play another version. This is the way I do drafts.
Interesting.
I do drafts based on like what they could potentially do for me next time.
I forgot about that.
Because as if a new season's about to be played, and I think Dan Rourke could learn from this experience and start ripping them and be a good number 2 to Dalton's number 1.
I like that, Brendan. Dan Rourke, we didn't talk about this enough.
Yeah, and he'll learn the rules a little bit more too.
If he didn't hurt his arm, he would have been a weapon in the end of this tournament.
Yeah.
But he did hurt his arm. Yeah. Dan was allowed to bring Nerf guns to the final, but he didn't use them. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
He's just yelling at people.
I feel like every time I threw, if I would scream as loud as I could. It's a mental game.
Well, if you're throwing against the Goodfellas, Jolly will be yelling equally as loud as you, too.
That's true. That is true. Jolly was good at that.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I can't believe Brendan, I can't believe you didn't go with like Jack.
I don't know. Jack didn't show much promise.
You said I need a backup thrower.
Who didn't throw at all? Jack never threw.
Absolutely never Jack.
I don't know. He doesn't seem very confident. He's saving his arm for Blitzball games and content.
That's true. You got me.
Yes. All right, third round pick. I've got Jimmy and Luke, so I'm gonna need a slapper down low. I running through what's left. Story, Rippers, Goodfellas, Jolly Olive. I think makes sense.
Nice. It's a good slapper.
The second you said a slapper, I was like, there goes my pick. There goes my pick. Jolly is the best third round value pick I think I've ever seen. It is absolutely insane. I was so careful to not say to you, Brendan, like, wow, picking Dan Rourke over Jolly, because I didn't want to give Rob any ideas. Jolly was phenomenal in this tournament. I think that it was, just the team not really finding an identity until the end of the tournament that hurt him. But I think that if the Goodfellas played like they did in the third place game the whole tournament, they very well could have been in the finals, and we might have been able to talk about Jolly as like an outside MVP contender. That's how highly I rate Jolly in this tournament.
I can see it.
I wrote to Jolly after this thing, and I said, Jolly, you and Jake were the only ones to understand the slapping part of this game, and I thought that it was incredible.
Yeah, because it wasn't just a guy up top to move around the ball. He was like, well, if I got a lane, I'm going to use it too, and he had a high percentage shot a lot of times.
That's what you sound like, Brendan.
I know.
I'm out on you.
I can't do anything about it. This is what I'm like.
Let's see. Peter's turn. Am I going to fucking throw this into chaos? I might. I'm going to pick Lorenzo D'Amalia.
Wow, why? That's pure chaos.
Well, why, just Peter, wait till the next pick. Wait till the next pick, Brendan. Wait till the next pick, Brendan. Pretty good. That's pretty good. I've never done a Beatles accent before, so that was pretty good.
Hey, you nailed it the first try.
Thanks. Zoe, I'm converting out of goal because we saw towards the end this whole between the legs shot from Zoe really, really stuck with me. I loved it, and I think with Jake as a point guard, Zoe is going to flourish because he is taller. So he could get up over, like, if Jolly's guarding him, get up over him and slap it down. He is agile. He is athletic. I have my 2 throwers in Ryan and Jake. Now I need my 2 down low guys. And Jake is also doubling as a slapper. So I think Zoe is perfectly fine. And to couple with Zoe, who I'm taking out of goal, I'm going to take the other Zoe in Joe Zoe.
Doesn't
work. Doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. but I'm taking Joe's McFly.
Wow.
That means 3 goalies have been taken. Did I do this to screw over Rob? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I did. I'm a sneaky boy. I'm a very sneaky boy. This is what he gets for taking Jolly from. Honestly, right. Jolly's the better pick. Realistically, Jolly is the better
goalie.
You need your goalie.
But Joe's did very, very good in goal, post knee pads, just like Zoe did. Mm-hmm. And also, Joe's was a force on the perimeter of the goal. He didn't need to move around. He just stood there, let Jake move around. Ryan can stay up top.
Yeah.
Joe's did a very good job in the role that he was drafted to play. And that's why he's on my team.
All right, now, Rob, it's your turn to convert Dan Kenobi into a goalie as your last pick.
I mean, with that one save he made, you could argue like he might have.
Yeah.
I mean, what are my options here? Panic played goalie and he's available.
Lou sort of.
Lou is available. Is Jack Doyle still available?
Jack's available.
Wow.
He's available.
Jack Doyle is still available.
Jack Doyle is my goalie.
All right.
Crazy. That's pretty good. It's crazy that he almost didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
I'm drafting him. He plays goalie. He could be another thrower. He can slap a little too.
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't even think about that. With Jack as goalie, you don't need to worry about a secondary defender at the back for turnovers.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, I really like that pick.
It works. Look what you did,
Peter.
Peter.
Painted me into a corner, and I painted myself out.
There you go.
That's true. I did try to fuck you.
You froze Rob at a bad angle, and he still scored anyway.
I think Rob might have the best team.
I didn't make my last pick yet, Peter.
Well, you only have 3 players. You forfeited your second-round pick, Brandon.
I'm picking the rest of the crop here.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to play with extra players.
You could have.
You guys didn't think of this.
Oh, no.
7-on-4? What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You fools. My last pick is going to go to a slapper, finally. I was kind of between Sirocco and Lou, and with the way Lou finished the tournament, I got to go Lou. He's good. He's also valuable as I have a goalie. He could be the second goalie with him when need be, and he gives me the energy I need on my team. He's so excited to be on any team. You saw in the commercial that he's excited to be on whatever team is thrown his way. I think was a little bit more excited to be in the story, but he's having a great time.
Yeah.
Great energy from Lou.
Yeah. So, recap. Brendan's team, led by Brendan's the only team that does not have a captain. Is that right?
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that's right. You're the only team that doesn't have a captain. Dalton, Lucas, Dan Rourke, and Lou is Brendan's team. Rob's team is Luke, Jimmy, Jolly, and Jack.
Bunch of stinkers.
My team is Ryan, Jake, Zoe, and Joe's. Pretty good. I think these teams are more balanced than our ball and play teams were. I think there was a clear best
These are
team
all good
for ball and play.
May I make a terrible pun and say these teams slap?
Hell yeah.
Baby, Brendan hit the any button.
Woo! Nice.
But now we'll go into our awards. Brendan will edit this before the draft.
I will not.
No, he won't.
No, I won't.
And let's say, Rob, as our guest yet again, we will give you the first award to give out. Unless you want more time. If you want more time, that's also totally fine.
Is this an award I'm coming up with?
Yes.
I would like some more time.
Okay, Brendan, how do you feel about having our first ever Slapball award?
I feel so good. I am going to give out the Serena Williams Award.
You're giving this award to Serena Williams.
That's correct.
Let me think. Serena Williams. That's for the best slapper, Jolly Olive.
Nice, nailed it.
Let's go.
Because of the backhand. Serena Williams, know anything about Serena Williams? She's got a good backhand. So does Jolly. Got a good one. We talked enough about Jolly, though. I think that if you've been listening all the way through here, you know what we like about Jolly. And he's one of the only ones that does have that backhand slap. And it works. Maybe more people will pick it up in the future. It seems a little bit more difficult. Every time he did it so easily, I was kind of amazed because it seems counterintuitive and just like not a natural motion, just like throw down and whack. I think he also does it with does it sort of forehand. He doesn't if I were to drop it down, I would probably whack it with the physical back of my hand, like you're slapping someone across the face, backhand style. But he did like twist his arm around and whack it that way. It seemed difficult, but he
did some like this.
Yeah. So
and he
it
kept
worked for
it
him.
real loose because his hand like would flop after he did it. It was very, very good.
Yeah, no one else had anything like it, so it was
I
something I wanted to highlight.
I had him as the Eureka Award because he understood the slapping part of the game better than anybody else, I think.
Okay.
All right. Did you get it, or do you want me to go?
I think I have one.
Okay.
All right.
Do I have to give it like a super cool special name?
Yeah, you gotta give it a name.
You guys could be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This is a broadcast award for the sickest burn.
Oh.
I don't know. Hottest burn.
Oh.
Interesting.
I don't remember which game. It was had to be Breakdowns Rippers regular season. No, sorry, Breakdowns Goodfellas regular season. Jack Doyle runs around, does his halftime interviews. They're a little weird. He jumps back in. The first thing Jake says to him is, "Chelsea Wingert, we miss you."
Hell yeah, I remember that.
That was fantastic. That is pretty good.
And Jack replies with this little, "What?"
Yeah. It was so good. And it just showcases how good Jack is at being Jack, because of course we miss Kelsey Winger, but I think Jack is really good at being himself. I loved I love all the Captain's League broadcasting moments because it's just none of them are broadcasters, so it's just like them doing their best, and Jack leans into how bad he is at it.
Yeah. I mean, he's something else.
He's something else. I love it.
At least he could laugh at himself.
I think Jack and Jolly, it was either game 6 of the championship. Like 3 minutes into the game, one of them turns to the other and goes, "Wait, are you doing play-by-play or am I doing play-by-play?"
Jack said, "I'm going to do this like it's the Final Four."
Yeah,
or March Madness.
From down deep.
Calls are bang! Bing bong!
Pure lunacy.
Him. Everybody on one thing I love about Captain's League is we're really getting when they go on commentary and us get to see their personality shine through is always fantastic.
Always.
I'm going to give the Metronome Award.
Metronome timing. Interesting. This is tough, Peter. There's a lot of people left. I'm trying to think of people we haven't talked about yet. Could it be Jake?
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Brendan Ruppel doing it again.
Wow.
BBR, just like Brendan's favorite beer. Andrea Pirlo is a soccer player. He's a coach now. Famous for setting the rhythm of the play of the game and being able to control his team and make all the plays. While he was playing for AC Milan, he was given that nickname of the Metronome. And as we talked about before, Jake being excited to play John Stockton essentially in this tournament, be the playmaker. The whole reason I drafted him. Oh, now you can't edit it and put it before the draft.
Thank you.
The whole reason I drafted him because he was the playmaker. Nobody in this tournament set the rhythm of the plays like Jake did. There were a couple moments that I remember specifically of Jake getting frustrated and being like, fuck it, I know it'll make them listen to me, and then just doing things on his own and then being like, listen to me and we will win this game. And then they would. Jake was unbelievable in this playmaker role. I don't think I've ever seen a non-goal scoring player. And that I'm not talking about because Jake did score goals, obviously. I'm talking about when Jake didn't score the goal or get the assist. I've never seen a non-goal scoring player stand out as much as Jake did in this tournament.
I like it. Yeah, absolutely.
He is a metronome.
He felt very confident too, and was. I think he surprises you sometimes with how good of a coach he can be. He also one of the more serious tournaments he's had in a while too. We have the snapping at the ref. We see a lot of the let's go guys to his team.
The other ref.
The other ref.
He was snapping at the other ref.
The other ref, whoever that was. I guess he was off camera, that ref. But no, it was interesting to see how it's crazy. It's a game that they made up, this warehouse that they built, and they are taking it so seriously, like it's life and death. That's how you play sports, because you get so into it. That's all that matters in that moment, and you see that more from Jake than you ever have with him.
More from Jake than you ever have with him.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
And that role, yeah.
Absolutely. Okie dokie, Brendan. Make this one a good one. Oh, we have 2 awards, by the way, Robin. I forgot to tell you that. It's 2 awards.
Gears are spinning.
I completely forgot that you were not in that pre you getting on the call thing of me and Brendan being like, this is how we're going to structure this.
It's fun to put him on his toes here. That's how you get the best stuff. Take the best stuff.
How you get the best stuff,
or the worst stuff.
No?
Sometimes you get the worst stuff by thinking about ahead of time too, and that's what's going to happen right now. This is the Mario Luigi RPG Award.
The Mario Luigi RPG Award.
That's right.
Bowser's Inside Story.
It's named all of them.
Partners in Time. Secret of the 7 Stars. Is that what that was called?
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't think Luigi's in that game. Who? Is this a multi-person award?
That's a hint that I cannot
Is
give.
that
and by me not giving you a hint, that's kind of a hint.
Brendan, or the rest of them?
That's right. I love all you guys. The whole warehouse deserves an award.
Let's see. Who could it be? Mario and Luigi, Jimmy and Luke.
No, it's a different duo.
Rob's going to get it.
Joe's and Lou.
It's Joe's and Lou.
Whoa!
I mean, the way they act, it's almost like they act in tandem as you do in Mario Luigi RPG games. It's so fun to watch them play down low and slap it in together. Just like we said before, the team chem is crazy. Then they go back and play double goalie. It's like you're playing Slapball with Mario Luigi RPG characters.
Wow. Or just Mario characters, you could say.
No.
Like the Mario Brothers.
Okay.
That's my Beatles accent.
I was going to say, who's that, Ringo?
You're welcome. That's Ringo. Yeah, Joe's and Lou absolutely deserved an award. I'm glad you gave it to 2 of them, because I didn't even think of that.
Shoot, dumb as rocks.
Peter means rock. Lou really came into his own in this tournament after being drafted almost last, as Rob told us. He was shocked that he didn't get drafted last. That's not what he said, guys. Listen to the rest. Listen to the beginning of the podcast. He didn't say shocked. He said delightfully surprised. He really stepped into his own. As Brendan said, as a supplementary goalie with Joe's, down low as a post player with Joe's. He even took a couple rips from past the throw point. Whoa.
From your jewel pod.
Brendan, come on.
Sorry.
And then Joe's was the perfect counter. Joe's is a big guy. Not many people know that. He's a big guy. Great in goal, great down low because he has that height advantage. But just the fact that he could have gotten the ball and thrown it right across the face of goal to Lou to complement him so perfectly, they're a duo that should never be broken up again.
Peter, were you trying to buy time for Rob?
Now, the thing about Joe's and Lou.
It's called a filibuster.
I did want to say this. This is actually trying to buy time for Dalton and Joe's. Are they going to 3-peat next tournament?
Oh, interesting.
I'm very, very interested to see if somebody becomes a 4-time Captain's League champion.
That's something to watch for.
Something to watch for.
That wasn't as good as your other filibuster. That one wasn't very.
It was very long.
A lot of time. Not very long.
Is it a jewel?
That is a jewel. That's what I was looking for.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. The big moment.
All right. The Liquid IV Award.
Okay.
Somebody who's made of water. About 70%. That's not good. That doesn't narrow it down much.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Invalid. Someone who's suffering from a hangover.
Ryan Cohen. That's the actual guess because he got hurt, and IVs are for when you get hurt.
Liquid IV. No.
I don't know what
maybe for
liquid
Jimmy.
IV is.
Is it for Jimmy?
It's for Jimmy
because he had a championship
he played
hangover.
He played like the entire playoffs on. I don't know exactly what was wrong with his calf, but only when the clock stopped could you tell.
Right? Yeah, because he'd go right to the
massage gun.
And he'd talk about it.
Probably drinking liquid IVs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a powder they can put in the water. It's pretty much Gatorade. I don't exactly know what's in there.
All right.
Good award.
Cool.
Good award.
The Gatorade Powder Award goes to James O'Brien.
That's what he said, but almost none of it was what he said. He changed every part of it.
Basically.
Literally every word. But I like it. Jimmy does deserve recognition, either as a coach, playmaker, player coach, as a resilient boy. We love resiliency on this pod. Half of the hosts of this pod love resiliency. Me.
I love when people step on other teams' necks.
Jimmy's really, really, really good. And I think that, yes, Luke, Lucas, and BBD were very good as well. But I think if you put them on any other captain's team, their full potential would not have been captured like it was with Jimmy. And for the final award of the episode, I'm going to use the Make It Count Award.
Make It Count. This one goes to Dan Canobio?
No. How about Dan Canobio?
Okay. Right.
Pretty good. I had to change his name to say that. Had to change his name. Put the laugh track for that one, bro.
No.
Nope. What about for that?
Nope.
All right. Rob, make it count.
So,
what? Not Dan Canobio.
Not Dan Canobio. No.
That was the no part. Okay.
Yeah. It was also called Not a Very Good Joke. And now it's been pointed out.
Is it or is it? I guess I'm Dalton Feely.
No, he got player of the tournament. You can get him all.
Rob Sirocco?
Okay.
Brendan, you can't get a second guess. Also, no.
Make it count.
Who doesn't know how to count?
That's what I was going for.
The whole company doesn't know how to count.
Oh, shit. Except for Lucas DeVersa.
Except for Lucas DeVersa.
That's why he's here.
Counter.
He had a discussion with me about Excel when he was interviewed by us.
I bet he did.
Well, who is it? Just give it to us.
It's Luke O'Brien.
Oh.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
Yeah, why? But why?
Why? Who? New Day's back. Because he had the highest percentage for goals per shots on target.
When he shot, he scored.
When he shot, he scored. When he shot on target, he scored. Luke was a weapon. 618 goals per shots on target. 618. Second highest for just goals per shots with 420. And the highest was Jake, 444 by my counts. It was automatic from him. Dalton Feely, player of the tournament, still fantastic. He had the highest goals for the highest half court goals per shots past half court. But Luke was absolutely automatic on just shots on target. If it's going to hit the frame, there's a 60% chance it's going in, 52% chance it's going in. If the tables were turned and it was Baggage who needed the last second goal and Luke got the ball, I would feel incredibly comfortable for him to win the game for Baggage.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Dalton was better.
Jimmy really knows what he has in his brother. I think he drafts him. He can coach him really well. He's a similar player to when he plays ball and play. Also, he's good with the bat. He's good defensively as a keeper. And in this game too, he's good at throwing. He's good at blocking. He's just an all around good player in whatever he plays. Good shit.
I can't argue that.
Absolutely. And that's our award show and recap show and draft show all in one. Brendan, hit Roulette Me Love You, and let's take us home.
I don't have that.
All right, just play it.
I don't have it.
Nobody knows what that is.
We'll play it one day.
We have no crossover to the Hoppy Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But Rob, thank you for joining us. It was
Thank
a
you.
Pleasure.
I appreciate you.
Do you have anything to plug on your own?
On my own, Ball and Play, by the time this comes out, is either out or really close. Sunday, May 5th is game one. It's awesome. I was working on that right before I picked up Captain League Blitzball this week. Check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a fun tournament.
We love Ball and Play here.
We love Ball and Play.
We love Ball and Play. And you said that you were saying the breakdowns win Blitzball Captain's League?
I didn't say anything on any topics as far as how that goes.
That has been...
Make the joke every time someone comes on.
Make the joke every single time.
And one of them's going to crack.
Jake did.
Oh, we'll know if they crack because they'll get fired.
Was it Jake or Jimmy when I said it, and their response was just one of them?
I think it was Jake.
That was one of them. Favorite one.
If someone wins, we didn't finish in a tie. I can tell you that.
Okay, you're gonna get fired now.
Oh, you know what? Before I get Brendan starting going with his plugs, did you guys have a extra time, like quote unquote gimmick set up for Slapball if it did get there?
So here's the funny thing: is people kept asking in the live chat in the comments, and I don't know.
Wow.
There are times. Sometimes at a blitzball game, we'll hit an extra inning, and it'll be like a new tournament, and we'll say, "How do we want to?" And then we'll come up with it between innings. So,
oh wow, okay,
pretty good.
I mean, they have a few options they usually draw from. As far as what they would do for Slapball OT, I don't really know, and I don't know if they know.
Mm-hmm. Maybe just a couple more minutes or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I almost wanted to write back to everyone. If we get there, we'll tell you.
But we didn't have to.
Now you could do it with your voice. Brendan.
Yeah.
What should people be drinking?
Drink Subtle Tea is a drink made by me, right here.
Whoa.
You can find it on the internet. Type in Subtle Tea. You can buy a 12-pack and get $2 off your order with code Hoppy Boys. That's my other podcast. You can listen to the Hoppy Boys anywhere you get your podcasts, on YouTube as well, on our Boys Media YouTube channel. You can also find this show right there on the Boys Media YouTube network. You can find us covering Blitzball, the World Series, for instance. You can find us covering Ball and Play coming up pretty soon. More interviews scattered around there, but please subscribe, smash that button, and love us so we can love you.
Yeah. And also, you know who else you should love? The person I'm plugging, my brother, Matt. 8th hottest man on Knicks Twitter, as voted on by the Knicks Twitter ladies.
It's true.
Was freaking out last night because of that game. He's a good boy. I love him very much. Give him a hug and a kiss when you see him. God knows he needs it. Place of Stars. Beyond that, Brendan, ask me the question.
Got anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. Bye.